But this woman said, I like being around this group so much because she said, I've never been in a safer place. Nobody cares about other people's mistakes in our group because we're so concerned with our own. And we're so grateful that other people are so tolerant of our flaws. This should describe every Christian community, right? This should describe every family. They'll know we are Christians by our love. Now, clearly, for God's kingdom to come, Jesus needs unity. And those who are around me a lot, I sometimes think that they say, oh, Ann never stops talking about unity. And it's true. I never stop talking about unity because Christ prompts me and urges me to talk about unity everywhere. Heaven is unified. They're all going in the same direction. Now, for unity to occur in our homes, our marriages, and our faith communities, for unity to occur, everybody has to move. Somewhere, somehow, everybody has to shift a little bit. Am I saying to you, like someone might say to me, well, what if I'm right? What if I'm righteous? Then you shouldn't move in your righteousness, but you should move in the way you illustrate it. Nobody likes to be around someone who's got their hands on their hips. You know what I'm saying? It's all in the way you do it. Like, I can be right about something and be quiet about it. I don't have to beat anyone over the head with my righteousness. Okay, now, none of us likes, what is an obstacle to unity? I'll tell you. Being judgmental. And I don't think, none of us wants to think that we are judgmental. Isn't it true? It would be gross if someone were to say to you, face it, you're very judgmental. I mean, some of us have heard this. It's not a nice thing to hear. It's not a nice thing to think. We don't want to be judgmental. Why? Because Jesus isn't like that. So let's talk about being judgmental. Judgment, passing judgment on others can be habit forming. We can get so used to being judgmental, it's a way of life. We don't even know we're doing it. Jesus always leads with mercy, never with condemnation. I'll tell you a story. There was a little boy in school, and his mother was a single parent. And the teachers, knew that this little boy came from a single parent family. And the little boy, his hair was growing long, and the mother had her hands full. She had a few kids, and she was on her own. And so the teachers started to talk about this situation. They said, you'd think she would cut his hair. I mean, he looks like a girl. She doesn't care. I mean, she's just so selfish and doing her own thing. They were very unkind. And this went on, and they were a little club of condemnation against this child's mother, this little boy. The mom was getting it done. The child was fed and cared for. She was there every day to pick him up, there every day to drop him off. All of her kids were being nurtured, but they really, and someone witnessed this, and was thinking, oh, they're tearing her to shreds about his hair being so long. So one day he came to school, and his hair had been cut. So one of the teachers said, oh, your mom finally took you to get your hair cut. And he said, yeah, I grew it very long. My grandpa died of cancer. And I learned about these little boys and girls who had cancer and lost all their hair. So my mom let me grow it long, and I donated it to a place called Locks for Love. Well, this teacher was very ashamed of herself. And very ashamed of the way they had judged this single mother. They made a mistake. Now, We're all guilty of it at times. The funny thing is, it's so juvenile, adolescent, to think we can make judgments against anybody, because only Christ can read a soul. People make mistakes that they're not even really accountable for. Like, there's a diminished accountability sometimes. If the person has reasons or, things that influence them, prompted them to make these mistakes. We're not going to get into that. But we want to be careful about passing judgment. Now, we always go in our apostolate, one of the things we have a commitment to is learning and teaching the Catechism of the Catholic Church. The guidance is there for us, and so we have to all learn the Catechism. We have to use it. We have to go from it into life. So what does the Catechism say? It says, although we can judge that an act is in itself a grave offense, we must entrust judgment of persons to the justice and mercy of God. Although we can judge that an act is in itself a grave offense, we must entrust judgment of persons to the justice and mercy of God. Now I think about that, and I see it says, an act in itself is a grave offense. A grave offense. And when I first read that, I thought, we don't need a grave offense. We're happy to judge for little things, aren't we? Going the wrong way in the parking lot will prompt us sometimes to judge somebody. This is all part of we have to be courageous in trying to be holy. There's no point if we're not going to get in there and do this hard work. So we can say that lying is wrong. But we can't judge everyone who tells a lie. We can say that stealing is wrong. But we can't judge everyone who steals. Indeed, we can say that judging is wrong, but we can't judge everyone who judges. We're being very kind to ourselves. So, from what I see about this judgment thing, it swings both ways like a door that bangs people on each way. It tends to hit us in the face. People are hurt by the cruel judgments of others, and then they themselves are led into judging. It's like experiencing condemnation and then giving condemnation. It's like the chicken pox. It spreads. I bet you can remember being judged falsely. I bet you can remember a time when someone passed judgment on you and it really hurt. I mean, look what they did to the Lord. They didn't even know him and they demanded his death. And sometimes we're that way. We don't want to be that way, so the Lord will take us out of our judgment. We consider our church and everyone in it, and we know that there are different groups in our beautiful church with different charisms, and we are all so necessary in the body of Christ, and we're all so unique. And I see that, let's just say for argument, there's this part of our church that's kind of conservative, okay? Let's just say there's a conservative, and let's just say there's a part that's the opposite way. Let's call it liberal. These aren't solid terms, but they're easily accessible to us. So we have conservative, liberal. And then we have everything in the middle. This is a big church, my brothers and sisters.